evening. Welcome to the December 12th, 2022 Troy City Council meeting. We are honored this evening to have Pastor Simeon Timbuk from the Bethesda Romanian Pentecostal Church provide our invocation. So please rise for our invocation and remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance. Hey, Pastor.
Our Heavenly Father, we are coming before you tonight to thankful and grateful for your grace and your mercy bestowed upon each one of us, upon our community here, the city of Troy, and from our heart we thank you, Lord, and we ask you to continue to bless us, be with us, protect us. We thank you for those who are protecting us, Lord, in the fire department, the police department, Lord. We also pray these days for those who are in need of food, shelter, protection. I also respectfully ask you to bless the City Council, to bless this meeting tonight to their presence, and bless us to live in harmony and peace, rejoicing and being a blessing to one another. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, and with freedom and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. The December 12th, 2022 Troy City Council meeting is officially called to order, and I'll ask for the roll call from Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Baker?
Here.
Councilmember Abraham?
Here.
Councilmember Brooks?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Krenga?
Here.
Councilmember Eric Segal?
Here.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Here.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Here.
All present this evening. First up are certificates of recognition and special presentations. We have 3 of them this evening. We'll start with C1, which is a proclamation celebrating Christy Hudson from Troy Auto Care, who's the Female Shop Owner of the Year for 2022. So Christy, you're gonna come up first by yourself. Meet me at the podium, please. All right, Christy, I'm going to read this proclamation into the record because it's pretty phenomenal, all right? So again, this is a proclamation celebrating Christy Hudson from Troy Auto Care, who's the Female Shop Owner of the Year for 2022. Whereas Troy Auto Care is well known in the city of Troy and communities beyond because of owners Donnie, Christy, and Frank Hudson and their team's reputation as trustworthy, dependable, and dedicated to performing outstanding work on everyone's vehicles at one of their 3 locations in the city of Troy. And whereas Women in Auto Care announced that Christy Hudson was chosen as their 2022 Female Shop Owner of the Year. And whereas in addition to the daily shop operations of Troy Auto Care 2, Christy directs the training of staff at all 3 locations, as well as the execution of their apprenticeship program. Christy is a local board member of the Oakland Schools Technical Campus, where she works to increase enrollment numbers, especially among young women. Christy has spoken at many industry events, has been featured on Remarkable Results podcast episodes, and serves on the Napa Auto Care National Advisory Council. And whereas serving on the Napa Auto Care Council enables Christy to share her knowledge and confidence with other shop owners across the country, she has made a practice of helping others through mentoring, educating on the opportunities in the automotive industry, and holding annual women's car care clinics. And whereas passion drives Christy, passion to make a difference in the auto industry is what brought her where she is today. Her spark has been reignited through Women in Auto Care, and she is ready to share her passion with the world. And whereas when Christy attended high school and Oak Tech, she was informed that because she was a female, she was in the wrong field. Screw them, right? Can I say that? I think I can say that. Now I've lost my place. See what happens when I do that? Let's see. Because of that, she became a firefighter and paramedic. Eventually, she got back into the automotive field she loves, now being recognized as one of the best, and her main goal is getting young students, especially females, excited about and into the automotive field. And whereas to attract and keep the attention of today's kids, all digital native and computer savvy, Christy feels they need the latest equipment, particularly those that are computer-based, which kids today are comfortable learning on. Troy Auto Care offers top-of-the-line equipment and technology to attract the best technicians. From the partnership with Oak Tech and the Napa Apprenticeship Program, Troy Auto Care gains youth apprentices with whom to give first-hand opportunities within their shop, a win-win for everyone. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Troy City Council does hereby congratulate Troy Auto Care's Christy Hudson on being named the 2022 Female Shop Owner of the Year, and be it further resolved that the Mayor, City Council, and City Management join the citizens of this community in celebration of Christy Hudson, co-owner of Troy Auto Care 2's distinguished and well-deserved recognition as 2022 Female Shop Owner of the Year, and also commend the Troy Auto Care team for their longstanding tradition of giving back to the community and helping those in need. Christy, this proclamation is presented this 12th day of December 2022. It's of course signed by myself as the mayor. All members of our city council have signed it. I present it to you and congratulate you, and I'm going to give you a round of applause.
No, I just want to thank everybody. None of this would be possible without our amazing team, my husband, my brother-in-law, all of our teams at all of our shops, most importantly, without the support of the community. So without the community that we provide service to, if we didn't have those wonderful customers, we wouldn't be where we are today. So it's the partnership with our community and our team members that really help to do all of this. So thank you to everybody.
Christy, don't go anywhere, because C2 is a proclamation celebrating Troy Auto Care 2022 Apex Shop of the Year. So everyone from Troy Auto Care, come on. It's Troy Auto Care night here at Troy City Council. And I can attest, Christy, Bethany visited you before I was on city council, and she came up and said, I met this most amazing woman at Troy Auto Care, and you really were, you were so helpful, and I'll never forget that, and she never forgets it either. So you're the high standard now for everybody else to follow. Welcome, guys. Why don't you come on this side? I think it's better. I'm used to everybody on this side. How are you? So C2 is a proclamation celebrating Troy Auto Care as a whole, the 2022 Apex Shop of the Year. So I'm going to read this one as a record as well. You guys are lined up really well. Cindy, did you set them up for this picture? That's pretty good, right? All right. Whereas Troy Auto Care is well known in the city of Troy and communities beyond because of owners Donnie, Christy, and Frank Hudson and their team's reputation, as I read in the previous proclamation. Donnie, Christy, Frank, and their staff are so knowledgeable and committed to providing the best service at fair and reasonable prices. And whereas it is always a pleasure to bring a vehicle to Troy Auto Care, customers are always greeted by friendly staff who truly care about everyone they serve. And their positive attitudes and demeanor starts at the top, because that is how Donnie, Christy, and Frank Hudson are. Friendly and personable, they truly care about everyone and care about quality and dependable service. And whereas in December 2021, Troy Auto Care was selected as 2022 Shop of the Year from over 18,000 businesses across the United States by the National Institute of Automotive Serve Excellence, ASE, and Napa Auto Parts. To achieve this prestigious award, a selected shop has to meet very strict criteria, including certification and training for all auto care technicians, general staff training, customer service standards, and community service standards. And whereas Apex is the premier event for more than $1.8 trillion, $1.8 trillion, that can't be right. Is that right? The $1.8 trillion global automotive aftermarket industry. I guess that makes sense. All right, so trillion, we don't talk about trillions a lot, but when we do, it's something remarkable. So Apex announced on November 1st, 2022, the winners of the 3rd annual Service and Repair Awards that recognize and elevate the essential services provided by shop owners, service advisors, and technicians to keep the motoring public on the road. And whereas Christy Hudson was honored as Female Shop Owner of the Year just moments ago, Troy Auto Care won the Triple Crown, being named 2022 Apex Shop of the Year. This is quite an honor for Troy Auto Care to win 3 major industry awards in a calendar year. And whereas when Troy Auto Care opened in 1958 as a 2-bay Shell gas station, co-owner Frank Hudson, who worked alongside his father for a number of years, says the elder Hudson impressed upon both he and his brother Donnie to always take care of your customers and always do the right thing. That directive remains a foundational tenet of the shop's culture, and it starts from the shop's hiring process. Within their 3 shops, there are 113 employees who are called family members. The Hudsons want every employee to have a stake in the company's growth and longevity. And whereas part of that investment starts with the management team, who provides ongoing training opportunities and foots the bill on tools for their technicians. All Troy Auto Care technicians are salaried, so they don't have to give up their time for training and conferences. If they want to learn and grow their knowledge base, the company takes care of all expenses. For Apex, they brought 12 of their technicians to the annual conference, enrolled them in classes, and paid all expenses. Donnie, Frank, and Christy also encourage auto tech training through the Napa e-learning. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Troy City Council does hereby congratulate Troy Auto Care on being named the 2022 Apex Shop of the Year. Troy Auto Care exemplifies the exact type of trusted business we welcome in our community, and they have reciprocated by growing and thriving. And be it further resolved that the mayor, city council, and city management join the citizens of this community in celebration of Troy Auto Care's distinguished and well-deserved recognition as the 2022 Apex Shop of the Year, and also commend the Troy Auto Care team for their long-standing tradition of giving back to our community and helping those in need. This proclamation is signed also and presented on the 12th day of December 2022. I've signed it. All of city council has signed it. Christy, you're closest. You get this one again. How about that?
Thank you, Mayor Baker. We're very excited. We love being in the city of Troy. We love the fact that we have 113 employees. We love giving back to the city. We love helping out in all the community events that we do. Again, thank you for the kind words. Your bill still didn't go down, but we thank you. We love supporting the city of Troy. We love being in business. We have 3 businesses in the heart of the city, and we looked to open up another one. So thank you so much. This is a huge honor, huge honor. Thank you, council members, for everything you guys do each month. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
I say ditto and happy holidays to everybody.
All right, C3 is up next, and that's Troy Community Foundation Troy Family Days update. Looks like both Karen and Olivia are coming up.
Right.
Ready to go?
Thank you.
Welcome to both of you. Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Olivia McLaughlin. I'm the Executive Director of the Troy Community Foundation. I think maybe our slides are up here somewhere. Do I?
Reload the
It's gonna
slides.
be magic.
Oh, yeah. Do you have the slides?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. It looks like this.
Yeah. Or the front one.
It'll start counting down.
I know. I don't know.
You're okay. You're okay.
All right, awesome.
There we go.
All right. This is me. Does the clicker work? Okay, there you go. So this is just a snapshot of the foundation today. So our foundation officers, our board chair is with me tonight, Karen Greenwood, Vice Chair Jeanette Smith-Clotella, Treasurer Dan Duggan, and Secretary John Boguth. And for our advisory board, we have a number of community business leaders that gather quarterly and advise us, counsel us as we move forward with our mission, and that's chaired by Valina Allison. And our Troy Family Days Committee, all volunteers, except me, part-time. But our co-chairs, Al Lindsay and Pete Sherman, and usually a 20-member leadership committee meet monthly, year-round. Oh, well, we take a little break, I guess, over the holidays, right? But year-round to put together the Fall Festival each year. Other organizations within our foundation umbrella, I noticed that I just listed all our senior citizen partners, but of course we love our seniors. The Friends of Troy Seniors, the Senior Home Assistance Repair Program, otherwise known as SHARP, and the Troy Senior Computer Lab. And then our endowment. So we currently have 12 endowments. We do have plans to grow that. And I'll click forward here. So that's what we look at in terms of lasting investment in our community. So the market was not totally kind to us, well, really to anybody this year, but currently we have right about $600,000 in our endowment accounts. And so with that, we estimate it could be north of $300,000 in potential distributions over the next 10 years if these organizations and the families that hold endowments for the foundation choose to take a distribution rate annually of 5% of their holdings. So they can choose to reinvest that in the, the opportunities and the donor intent that they put forth when they establish the endowment, or they just roll that over until the next year and hope to see that grow. So we have current endowments with families, businesses, and organizations, and anyone can start an endowment with an initial deposit of $10,000. So I'd love for you to reach out if you have questions about starting that. Give me a call. I think a number of folks know the foundation for the grants that we put to community organizations, both in the spring and the fall, but we really see our endowments as a growth opportunity for the future of the foundation, and we really think that we could, garner a little more interest in that if we could get the word out. So I'm going to introduce our board chair, Karen Greenwood, to talk a little bit about our fabulous Troy Family Days this fall.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having us this evening. We'd like to talk about a couple, where'd you point this?
The right.
Okay. Here. Oh. There we go. Okay, so our committee meets monthly. We generally start meeting in about February, and this year when we sat down with our committee, we decided we had to put forth a couple more goals. We wanted more community involvement. Remember last year we were just coming off of COVID, so the touch and feel changed a little bit at Troy Days. We wanted to make sure that we were COVID safe. Even though we were out of it, we still wanted to be safe. So more community involvement, plan for inflation, and then also we were not looking at last year as a benchmark because we did believe that we had a COVID boom. Everybody was ready to come out and do something fun, so we actually benchmarked against 19. So we want to plan a successful event for the community and also the foundation. There's some really exciting things we did this year. So this year the committee added many new programs. We added a Cutest Baby Contest. We brought back the antique emergency vehicles. We had 3 50-minute youth programs that were held by our 3 major endowment partners. So that is the Nature Center, the Historic Village, and the library. And we did all of those in the morning. On Saturday morning, they were 50-minute programs, and they were hit once free to attend, no charge. We felt that everybody wants to come to this event, but not everybody needs to ride a ride. So some free things, which everything I've mentioned so far, were all free items. The robotics team came out and did a demonstration from Troy High. We also had a high school marching band lead the naturalization event. We had Dan the Creature Man come, and for the first time we had a 5K and a 1K walk run on Sunday. We're also excited to report that the naturalization ceremony came back as well. And then let's not forget, the Troy Historic Village brought us many more scarecrows, and just from, I don't know who knows this and who doesn't know this, but that event brought in $3,000 extra for them. So that's pretty significant. They charged a premium to have it up at Troy Days for 4 days, and they made $3,000 extra with very, very little effort, and now people are asking about it. So that is how we want to continue to be partners with our nonprofits that we work with. So some exciting news, our ride revenue was up 5.5%. Admission tickets were also up. We held steady from the year before, believe it or not. We had almost the same amount of people come through, just a little bit more than 21. So what we talked about, that COVID boom, we might be a 2-year COVID boom, to be honest with you at this point. Booth sales were up, vendor sales revenue was up, and then corporate sponsorship was up. We were really, really careful with our budget. Most of our quotes were coming in anywhere from 20 to 30% higher than we had spent the year before. We have a really good team in Al and Pete, and they are fiscally conservative, and we are very conservative as well to keep our budget under wraps. So actually our expenses came in just slightly lower in 22 than they did in 21, which is blows me away. So here's some, Troy Days by the numbers. Thursday, the special persons day, we were at max capacity. Over 400 children and families were served. The opening ceremony and naturalization, we had 25 new citizens sworn in. That's a pretty amazing event to attend. Record-breaking attendance on International Day with over 20 different performances, and Lisa's here right now. So Lisa and Global Troy did a great job with that. We are actually talking about extending that schedule into some of the empty spots on Sunday. We had over 25,000 people through the gates. Food vendors and vendor spaces, we were at capacity. We could not have actually put any more on the property. And our budget and expenses, like I mentioned, we're closely monitored. We had a fantastic committee. That leadership committee is, first of all, most of them have been there for 15, 20, 25 years, and there's 20 of them, and they are hardworking people. So we couldn't do this not only without that committee, without our chair and our co-chair, and also it takes about 210 community volunteers for those 4 days. So there's a lot of hours that gets put into this. So when we sit back and say, is this a community event, it actually takes every single one of us to put it together. So I'm super proud of those numbers. The foundation's proud of it, and we hope that the city is as well. We couldn't do this event also without the City of Troy. Kurt and Dennis are amazing. They're super helpful. We had Troy Fire and Troy Police, Kiwanis Club, Rotary, Global Troy, the library. I mean, it really does take all of us to put this together. So those are our community partners. And then we also have great corporate sponsors. We did expand our corporate sponsorship this year, 52 years. Tryon was our presenting sponsor this past year and again in 22. They haven't committed yet for 23, so we'll talk to them about that. But we were really fortunate. There's a lot of space for sponsorship. We have small sponsorships that are just a couple $100 all the way up to multi-$1,000 sponsorships. So we're really proud to grow that base as well. That money is important. Okay. And then distribution, what are the plans? I do have a board meeting tomorrow, so not everything is in stone yet. We have some organizational grants planned. We also do local charity grants in the spring and fall. And this past spring and fall, we gave $19,500 in grants. We will probably do more than that. We have more than that on our budget right now to approve. We'll be working with the city again with some community grants. Last year, if you recall, we worked with Parks and Rec to put in, what are those called? Bike repair stations. I couldn't remember what they were called. Bike repair stations on the trails, and that was really awesome. So we're looking for a small, quick project like that again. We're also hosting Troy Charity Night in the spring in 2023. Stay tuned for the date. Last year, we started 3 new endowments at that event. This year, we plan to start 4 new endowments and award $25,000 in seed money to local organizations. So we'll do a first place, $10,000, $7,500, $5,000, and $2,500. So we will announce 4. We actually outgrew the venue already, so we are currently looking for a venue to host everybody for a quick couple-hour event. Funds also go into our operations. We do operate on a very mean and lean budget. You'd be surprised, one of our most expensive things is insurance. So, but we do not have a lease space anymore, so we're not paying any overhead on that. All of our board and all of our advisory board is all volunteer. And then we'll put money back into our reserve fund so we can plan for a nice, strong Troy Days for this coming year. That's all I have. Thank you for the opportunity, and we will take any questions if anybody has them.
Thank you, Karen and Olivia. I appreciate you both coming, and I think I spoke after the event in September at a meeting about some of the amazing things that happened. But again, the 25 new U.S. citizens, I mean, that was especially meaningful to have that come back.
I had never been through a naturalization before, and it was amazing, like bawling the whole entire time. It was just amazing.
I cry at this ceremony. Thankfully, I speak before, not after. But no, I mean, it really is special. And the 5K and the 1K, you didn't mention it, but it utilized one of our Troy trails, our phase 1 of the trails, which was a really cool thing to have. Highlight for me on that race. I didn't run it, but I did ride in the front car with Kurt and Cindy and Bethany, and then it started pouring. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we were drenched, but it was a lot of fun to watch the whole thing.
The video is
And,
great, too.
you know, we took a great video, actually.
Yep, the
Bethany's
video is
poor arms.
awesome.
But I see 4 of our Global Troy friends are here tonight, and again, you mentioned Lisa, but since you're here, Lisa, again, Lisa, as you know, is the warhorse when it comes to putting together the International Day and all of the scheduling of that event, and it is such a beautiful event, representation of so many different cultures and just the beauty of the diversity here in the city of Troy. So Lisa, good to have you here and good to thank you. And I also would like to say, we talk about this at Global Troy, and I don't want to pin this on Lisa to come to you in a meeting, but none of us love the tent. And I know you've heard complaints about the tent, and I hate to come with a complaint, but I don't know if there's ever any opportunity for a different tent. The big pole in the middle of it's difficult. It's closed off. You can see Global Troy's sad faces talking about that. But I don't know if that's ever been, I just wanted you to know that it's something that all of us have talked about, not just Lisa if she comes to it at a meeting. I don't want her to be on that.
And we've talked about it a couple times. It's the rainy day plan, right? It's just to make sure that we have a place to keep people dry and out of the sun. But
For sure we need a tent. It's not that we don't need a tent. It's
I would love a big stage if you want to build us one.
Sure thing.
Or we'll partner, right, in the future.
I
We'll
like
build the
that.
structure.
All right.
No, it's just, I don't know
Yeah.
the big pole in the middle of it's tough because it's right in the middle of the stage. It ruins sight lines, it ruins a lot, and it's hard for some of our performers to work around it. And, you know, you'll hear it again from other Global Troy members. But I wanted to get it on the record if it's something you can think about. So other questions or beautiful comments? Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Crainga.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for all that you do in our community. These sorts of events are what create these bridging ties that bring our beautiful, diverse community together. So thank you. And a takeaway for me is you did so much more this year, but you spent less. That is amazing, ladies. So I thank you to all of your committee and your organizers. And so I have a question with this. And also just, again, wanted to call out Lisa Bikagrodsky and her team. Ed Chezik, Daniela Nacheva, Tom Zhu, as well as Nas Saidamoid, who I know is not here tonight, but those I know are your core when it comes to Global Troy and all those volunteers. And so just wondering, I know you've had this core of volunteers every year that just, you know, do so much. What is that looking like going forward? Do you have any concerns about always having, you know, as volunteers age, you know, in terms of how you pull from the community? And is there anything we can do to help also recruit folks to help with your efforts?
Well, succession planning is really important. Pete's learning that. He was our co-chair, and then he was the chair this year. And he has bringing a lot of youthful energy to the committee, and quite frankly, we need a bigger committee. The work of many is really important here, so no one gets burned out. Everybody wants to come back again next year. So we are talking about putting tiny committees or a task force inside of our committee to start addressing those. And this year, we probably have 15 volunteers that came up to us during the event and said, how do I do more? So we have a long list, and continuing to grow that list. We will also put an ask out. Last year, we put an ask out on Facebook, and we received not only volunteers for the day of, but people who wanted to join. But the 5K, for example, needs its own committee of 5 or 6 people to kind of manage that. So we'll be adding that. It's probably going to be closer to 300 next year when we report out. Okay, thank you.
Additional questions? Councilmember Hodrick.
Just thank you for coming, and I guess I just wanted to make a comment that it's interesting to watch your organization evolve. And, you know, when you're standing here telling us your expenses were lower in 22 than 21, and the fiscal conservatism and budget practices that you're putting into place in that organization, and the energy that's coming from so many great volunteers in the community, and just the structure, it sounds like, that you've brought to that organization, that matters. And I'm hearing quality come at me as you present and give this dialogue. And I know there's always room for improvement. I suspect city staff that is boots on the grounds for supporting Troy Days has input for you all and on ways to improve. And I guess my fundamental question is, you know, are you always open to that improvement? Anything that you need from staff? And likewise, I would encourage talking to staff who's been doing this for a long time. I'm looking at Cindy Stewart in the back, who's goes way back on Troy Days, and a lot of people, is you keep your continuous improvement processes, tap into that and see what other value can be added. And, I know you're open to that, but that's my fundamental question. Are you open to that?
Absolutely.
Continued collaboration?
Well, we couldn't do this without the city and staff and input and years of experience, right? I couldn't have stepped into this role without people saying, this is what we've done, this is what's worked. And at the end of the year, we always put together what went right, what went wrong, so that we can continue to benchmark to move forward. Yes, the city is the pillar of that for us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Additional questions, comments? Well, thank you both. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Thank you
Thanks
for having
coming in.
us.
That concludes certificates of recognition and special presentations this evening. We have no carryover items or public hearings. No one has signed up for public comment for items on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses. No postponed items, so we move on to regular business. I-1 is board and committee appointments. We have a couple mayoral appointments this evening. I'd like to move the appointment to the Global Troy Advisory Committee of Sadia Shenge for the term that expires October 30th, 2023.
Support.
Moved by the chair, supported by Councilmember Erickson Galt, that we approve the appointment of Sadia Shenge to the Global Troy Advisory Committee for the term expiring October 30th, 2023. Any discussion? Vote, Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Craig?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Gall? Yes. Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Motion carries. Another new Global Troy member. And then I'd like to move the appointment of Thomas Krent, Mariana Parakis, and Tyler Fox to the Planning Commission for the terms expiring December 31st, 2025. Support. Moved by the chair, supported by Councilmember Hamilton, that we approve the appointments, of Thomas Krent, Mariana Parakis, and Tyler Fox to the Planning Commission for the term expiring December 31st, 2025. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Craig?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Gall? Yes. Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes, motion carries. That concludes mayoral appointments this evening, so we move on to city council appointments. I'll turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Craig.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to move the reappointment of Mark Owcharziak to the Employees Retirement System Board of Trustees, Retiree Healthcare Benefits Plan and Trust for the term expiring December 31st, 2025.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Craig, supported by Councilmember Brooks, that we approve the appointment of Mark Owcharziak as the City of Troy retiree to the Employees Retirement System Board of Trustees, Retiree Healthcare Benefits Plan and Trust for the term expiring December 31st, 2025. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Craig?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Gall? Yes. Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes,
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, second one. I would like to move the reappointment of W. Kent Voigt to the Historic District Commission for the term expiring March 1st, 2025.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Craig, supported by Councilmember Abraham, that we approve the reappointment of W. Kent Voigt to the Historic District Commission for the term expiring March 1st, 2025. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Craig?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Gall? Yes. Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes,
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
motion carries.
Last one. I would like to move the appointment of Jasper Gill to the Parks and Recreation Board for the term expiring September 30th, 2025.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Craig, supported by Councilmember Erickson Galt, that we approve the appointment of Jasper Gill to the Parks and Recreation Board for the term expiring September 30th, 2025. Any discussion? Vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Erickson Gall?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes,
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Craig?
Yes.
motion carries. We thank all of those individuals for their willingness to serve. Next up is I-2 Board and Committee nominations. I have no mayoral nominations this evening, and there are no city council nominations either. I-3 is a request for closed session. There is no request for closed session. So I-4 is an agreement with Troy Community Foundation for use of public property for Troy Family Days Festival. That'll be introduced by Kirk Bovenseep, our Public Works Director.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Keeping the Troy Days energy going here. Very different conversation than what we had back in 2014. I think we actually had a couple study sessions to discuss this agreement. I think there was a little bit, myself included, a little bit of apprehension. You know, it was our first experience of bringing Troy Days back in, but I think over the last several years, it's a great community festival. I think it's proven itself, and I think the relationship between the Troy Community Foundation and the city has worked seamlessly over the last several years. The contract, the current contract has come to a close, so we sat down with the Troy Community Foundation and made some minor adjustments to the contract. Some of those highlighted here is obviously it's no longer the North Woodward Community Foundation, it's now the Troy Community Foundation, so we changed that language. I think it's a very small section but very important section. It clearly defines the partnership and the intent of the festival, that it's a community festival, so we've added that language. It also clearly defines the city and the foundation's role in the festival. So a lot of things have changed over the last several years. The city's taken a bigger partnership along with the foundation, so we thought it was important to include that in the contract. I might not be here in 15 years or so someone may else be being the liaison, so making sure that we had all that documented. Again, we're asking for a 5-year agreement with 3 additional 5-year renewal terms. We did change the reimbursement fee structure a little bit. Instead of basing it on the net of revenue of the entire foundation, basing that on the admissions, because the foundation is growing its sponsorships, and if there was a rain out and we didn't have a lot of resources to put on the festival or something were to happen. So actually tying it to the admissions, which is the actual holding of the festival and having people come through the gates. So that threshold is $30,000 of admission fees, and then there would be an increase of 3% annually over the life of the contract for both the threshold and the reimbursement fee. So excited to continue the partnership, excited to incorporate the extension of the Stein Community Park, the pavilion, the ice skating amenity. We grew the exhibit that details what the foundation's allowed to use on the property. We understand there's going to be a little bit of a stumbling block next year because likely that area is going to be under construction, but we'll work through that. It'll still be held on the city property in the intersection. We'll just not be able to use that corner. But very excited for what would be 2024 for the possible use of that entire park area and incorporating it into the festival.
Okay. Any questions? Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Crainga.
Quick question. Can you remind me, do we have a City of Troy staff member who is on the Troy Days Committee? I'm not sure if I saw it in the memo.
So in the agreement, it does allow the city manager or his or her appointee to be on the committee. Currently, that has been me over the last several years. There was a couple of years where the assistant to the city manager was on that committee, but I was always involved. But yes, it has been me.
Any other questions? I'll move I-4, agreement with Troy Community Foundation for use of public property for Troy Family Days Festival as printed in the agenda packet.
Support.
Moved by the chair, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Crainga, that we approve I-4, agreement with Troy Community Foundation for use of public property for Troy Family Days Festival as printed in the agenda packet. Any discussion? It's a good sign. The vote, Ms. Dixon?
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Crainga?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Gall?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next up, I-5 is recommended pay ranges for part-time classifications. That'll be introduced by Jeanette Menig, our Human Resources Director. Hey, Jeanette.
Almost got that timing perfect.
I was close. I rushed it at the end just to.
Thanks. Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. The item before you today is an update to our classification and pay ranges for part-time positions. The pay ranges for most of the positions have increased by 8%. But there have been some individual positions that needed a special touch, so not all of them changed by 8%. The item of note that is in the memo is the information that the minimum wage is going to increase on January 1st to $10.10 per hour. Now, there is pending litigation. There's an appeal out there, and we are just waiting with bated breath to find out if it is going to change again. All indications, if I were a betting person, I'm going to say yes. Before the end of 2023, we're going to see the minimum wage moving up again. The number in the legislation is $13.03. So a real big impact on our positions and then even on our full-time positions eventually. So the plan before you can accommodate both of those minimum wages. It's fluid enough that if it does move, with any luck, I won't have to come back and readjust things, but who knows? And we definitely do recommend approval of this classification and pay plan. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Jeanette. Any questions from council? Councilmember Hamilton.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Janet, for being here. This is off the top of my head, so if you don't have an answer, it's okay. If the minimum wage is bumped to the 13 an hour, what do we estimate the budget impact for us would be?
So I put some numbers in the memo, but it's really hard to estimate because each of those positions work different hours. Unlike when you budget for pay changes to full-time employees, you know that full-time employees are going to work 2,080 hours per year. So I didn't really run any numbers because I don't know how accurate they would be. And I guess if I were to start running some numbers, I would say average is probably about 18 to 20 hours per week that they'd be working. I have the range in there of it being, so I'd say $2 an hour impact, 20 hours a week, 110 people.
40,000. Do the math.
Yeah, I can't do that up here, but those are the numbers that I would ballpark, but it's going to be more.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Sorry, I just...
That's okay.
Any other questions?
That's it.
Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Craig.
Quick question. As I read in the memo, all of these positions, as I understand it, are eligible for merit increases depending on performance in the role. Is that something we've always done with these roles? Okay. Thank you.
Yes, our increases for part-time positions, most of them are tied to a performance evaluation and then an assignment of a raise. Some of the positions, it's a little bit less merit-based, and if you come back the next year, you're going to move up another quarter or 50 cents. So some of them are, if you're good enough to come back, we'll give you the raise. But for the long-term ongoing positions, there's a performance evaluation and then a raise assigned.
Thank you. Councilmember Abraham.
Thank you. Maybe not so much a question as it is a comment. Particularly over the last 2 years, we've had a hard time recruiting people for part-time positions. And it's not unique to the city of Troy. I think this entire region, probably the whole country, felt that pain. What I think most residents don't realize is that most of the people that they interface the most when they go to the community center, when they go to the library, when they go to Parks and Rec, are part-time employees. And so we cannot underestimate their value and their worth and the importance of what they're doing. They are the face of the city in many cases, and they're the ones that will leave the greatest impression in many cases. So my question is, certainly the minimum wage increase drove much of the increase, but do you think I'll say additional adjustments will be sufficient to help recruit and retain that great talent that we have at the part-time level?
I'm confident that the recommendation we have has enough room for now, but we scheduled this every year. So the idea is that this isn't a plan that's good for forever, it's good for right now.
That's great. I think about people like our lifeguards, for example, where we want the best of the best if we can all get it. Our lives are literally in their hands. So, thank you.
Any other questions? Someone like to move the resolution? Councilmember Erickson Gall.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move I-5 recommended pay ranges for part-time classifications as printed in the agenda.
Support.
Moved by Councilmember Erickson Galt, supported by Councilmember Brooks, that we approve I-5 recommended pay ranges for part-time classifications as printed in the agenda packet. Any discussion? Just pretty much what Councilmember Abraham just said. These are so important. These part-time employees are the face of our city in many aspects, and it's important for us that we maintain the ability to get quality employees. And I know, Jeanette, and your staff, you're always working, city management's working to find out what can best do that. And we're very happy to do that. And I'm happy to support this. And let's hope it does good work for our community as they do now. The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Craig?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Motion carries. That concludes regular business this evening. Next up is the consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull an item from the consent agenda for further discussion? Councilmember Abraham.
I'd like to move all items on the consent agenda as printed.
Support.
Moved by Councilmember Abraham, supported by Councilmember Erickson Galt, that we approve all items on the consent agenda as printed in the agenda packet. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Craig?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Motion carries. If you're here for an item on the consent agenda this evening, all have been approved. Next up are memorandums and future council agenda items. There are none this evening to announce. So we move on to public comment for items not on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses. We have a handful of people signed up this evening. First on the list will be Lorraine Scussel. As a reminder, you have 3 minutes when the light turns yellow. You have 1 minute left, and when it's red, your 3 minutes are up. And please abide by the rules in our council rules for proper protocol.
Thank you.
Hi, Lorraine.
Hi. Good evening, Mayor Baker and the City Council members. My name is Lorraine Scussel. On behalf of our I-75 Citizens Group, and 19 subdivisions that we represent, we wanted to thank you for all of your help and support this past year. We would not have gotten as far as we have with this I-75 noise issue without your help, your proclamations, and your continued support. We are asking for your continued support in 2023. This is an ongoing thing. It's been ongoing for about 1.5 years now, so we expect that some things will be resolved in 2023, but we'd like your help again. So where are we today regarding the I-75 traffic noise and the sound study? As you may know, noise measurements were taken November 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and MDOT will be conducting a stakeholder meeting sometime in mid-January. After that, MDOT will publish a draft noise technical report sometime in March, and then they will have a public meeting for all citizens in March of 2023 to report the findings. And then finally, they will provide a noise technical report, a final copy, in May of 2023. So what we're asking for today, hopefully, some of our members asked at our recent group meeting if it would be possible for MDOT to come in and give you their draft report sometime in January or March, so that all the members of our group could possibly watch this at home instead of coming into one of the meetings or trying to get a public place. I don't know if that's possible, but if they could come in and give you their findings, that would be great. Also, we would like your help. I know, Mayor Baker, you're thinking about this. We have new government officials starting in January. We're going to lose Padma Kupa, who was really instrumental in helping us get started with this project. So we would hope that we could get some introductions to our new representatives, if that's at all possible, too. And really, that is it for me. We have one of our technical team here today, Graham, who's going to give you a little update and some other information. But we would like to thank you again and wish you happy holidays, and we'll see you next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine. Next up will be Graham Bush.
Hello, everyone. It will be less than 3 minutes. Firstly, I'd like to introduce Mitch Puskas. He's the gentleman who is our noise absolute testing expert. To cut a long story short, we witnessed the noise testing that MDOT did. It was way above their own target. No surprise to us. It matches the work that Mitch and I have been doing, if you like, measuring noise. It's far too loud. So it's basically the whole noise thing is going to come down to the cost of doing changes, the dollars per household, all of the things that are involved there. But I also wanted to talk very quickly about where we're trying to take it. We're not trying to challenge MDOT. We're trying to work with them. So Tom Zerberg is their noise expert based in Lansing. He and I basically exchange emails on a regular basis. And you know, we want to be seen to be critical but supportive, data-driven. Secondly, I've been talking to the Central Federal Authority, a gentleman called Mike Roberts, who's responsible for noise throughout the country. I've also been talking to the people who are responsible for the federal model. I don't know where they're based, so I'm going to say the word Georgia just based on the phone numbers, right? And I've been showing them how the way in which they do business is not contemporary with what we do in automotive. It's not using modern techniques, right? Mitch and I have access to equipment and software that is way beyond what they use, right? Because their technique is so crude and so simplistic. And the other thing I'm trying to do to encourage them to come forwards is basically say, okay, this is the way you do business today. We have better ways. We have modern automotive ways. Come and learn from us, work with us, talk to us. In other words, not critical, but constructive. And part of that, and this is maybe where it comes into this meeting, also sell the fact that if we can get these central authorities to use the Troy I-75 thing as a new way of doing business to take things into the future with electric vehicles and everything else, then also we're selling Troy. Suddenly, Troy becomes the place where we learn to do things, the place where we learn to do electric vehicles properly, the place where we used to measure things properly. So I just wanted to, that's the scientific and technical foundation behind what Lorraine talked about. Again, thank you for your support and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Graham. Next up, Suri Kashyap.
Before I start speaking, can I hand out the reports?
Sure, if you can hand them to our city clerk, she'll hand them out to you, or to us.
Dear Mayor and City Council members of Troy, namaste. My name is Suri Kashyap, and I'm a proud resident of Troy and a 10th grader at Troy High School. Recently, the Hindu community concluded Seva Diwali food donation drive, and I would like to share about it in brief. According to the USDA, more than 34 million people, including 9 million children in the U.S., are food insecure. In Michigan, 1.5 million people, and of them, 300,000 are children, are food insecure. Seva Diwali is an initiative by all the communities and organizations who celebrate Diwali, which is the festival of lights, and believe in Seva. Seva is a Sanskrit word meaning giving. Aimed at fostering togetherness and promoting the concept of Seva, Seva Diwali provides a platform for Dharmic and Indic communities to organize food drives during Diwali. Starting in October to mark the celebration of Diwali, the Dharmic Festival of Lights, the drive runs through the end of November. Seva Diwali is extended to over 200 cities and towns in 2022. It's in its 5th consecutive year. Since its inception in 2018, the Seva Diwali project has donated close to 1.5 million pounds of food nationwide. This year, nationally, 630,000 pounds of food is donated, benefiting 200-plus organizations from 32 states, including food pantries, homeless shelters, worship houses, and schools across the U.S. Here in Michigan, 6,930 pounds of vegetarian, non-perishable food items were donated last month with the help of 25 volunteers, 12 different organizations, and 5 different stores like Walmart, Patel Brothers, and etc. Our beneficiaries include Pickett Square for Veterans, where 1,200 pounds of food were donated, CARES of Farmington Hills, where 2,000 pounds of food was donated, Detroit Service Learning Academy, where 850 pounds of food items were donated, Gleaners Community Food Bank, where 1,000 pounds of food were donated, and ISKCON Detroit, where 1,400 pounds of food was donated. Next year, we would like to invite all the community members to join this cause, as service to humanity is service to divinity. Namaste, happy holidays, and thank you on behalf of Save of the Valley team.
Thank you, Suri. Appreciate you coming tonight. Next up is Michelle Paulus.
Hi, everyone. I'm here to remind you that last week we talked about sustainability. I told you I would be back. And I just would like to just say this. I am not an expert in sustainability, and I don't think any of you are either, but I love you just the way you are. And I think one of the things that last week taught me is that we have access to so many experts that can help us on this journey. And I would like to appeal that we just commit to the idea of thinking differently about the environment and the future, and put aside the past. I mean, I heard some of the reasons why we haven't done it in the last couple of years, and those to me are excuses that we can just put aside. The ghosts of the past, the fear of the future. Let's be leaders. I mean, we're catching up now. I am a change management expert, and I see what's happening here, and I feel the resistance, and I can assure you that Mr. Miller here, he's going to go back to work every single day and do the same thing that he always did because he's comfortable with that, the same as all of you. And it will take leadership and a commitment to change the way we think about the environment. So I appeal to you, one thing that you can do at no cost right now is to sign up for the Mayor's Climate Compact, which just says we're committed. We're committed to thinking differently about how we make decisions, about the way that we treat the environment, the way that we build buildings, the way that we deal with noise pollution, like what we're talking about here. All of those things fit into that. So that's all I'm really asking for, is that Mayor Baker, that you consider signing up to be part of that. And that network is 51 mayors in Michigan and close to 500 mayors in the United States, bringing a network of resources to Mr. Miller for him to learn about the things. Let's not think about it as a daunting task. Let's just think differently, like not printing an agenda that's 14, 15 pages and 50 pages out there. That's a simple thing we can do. It doesn't cost anything. So thank you for your time. I love you guys. I love your service. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ms. Paulus. And finally, we have Daniel Kang. Kang.
Hello. Yeah, my name's Daniel Kang. I'm not like a business owner or like I don't know, anybody important at all. But pretty much I started going to school board meetings because there was a lot of people that I knew that I felt their voices were underrepresented. And then I ended up very involved in education as I kind of championed those voices. And so likewise, I'd like to do a similar thing here. All the people that I've talked to, they have the same opinions. These are people who both, all ethnicities, like in different types of like socioeconomic status. And the thing they all have in common is none of them know what a city council meeting is. They have all these opinions, but all they do is complain to the void. So what I'd like to talk about today is the city is like looking really ugly. And year after year, a new patch of woods gets cut down for like a carbon cutout of new condos, or the same house that's just copy and pasted across the entire neighborhood. When I was a kid, I would walk home from school and there's a bunch of trees, and now I just pass the same condo like 50 times in a row. And it's really sad because like one of the biggest things like plaguing our society that we complain about is like kids are always on their iPhones all day playing Roblox or Minecraft or whatever these kids are doing nowadays. And we know that social media is bad for their health. And now like if they want to go out into the woods and play or something, the nearest park is like a mile away that they have to go with parental supervision. And there's no longer like a place that can just like go out into the backwoods and hang out, play I don't know what kids play, fantasy, something, having fun like in nature. And now I know we have a lot of initiatives to pass all these, like, you know, we're having public parks and we're putting a lot of effort into these parks and trails. But even these trails, like there's a huge difference between going to the woods and, you know, like kind of walking to your friend's house, or even for an adult to like going into nature in some like, you know, kind of private place and going down like a walking trail where there's like 20 people with their strollers and bikes all walking. And it's just really sad to see that, you know, I'm not sure what the reason is. I'm not an expert on economics or zoning laws or planning, but I think everybody I've talked to has been really, really upset and sad to see that, you know, like nature is going away and now we just have more housing. So that's all I came to say today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. That concludes those that have signed up for public comment for items not on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses. Now's an opportunity for City Council or City Administration to respond and reply. Any volunteers? Councilmember Abraham?
Thank you. Gosh, so many great speakers on a variety of topics. The first comment I will make is relative to I-75, and you know, the first thing I would say is, can you imagine a year ago where we are today? I think a year ago, things looked pretty grim. Frankly, there was a sense of hopelessness and frustration, and we've gotten past a lot of these barriers collectively. And not because of us, but because of you. Yeah, we helped maybe, or, you know, little wind beneath your wings, but I really want to commend our residents for engaging effectively and partnering with the local and federal authorities who can affect changes. I would continue to urge you to really engage our Congresswoman Haley Stevens' office in this, because when it comes to federal matters, it's going to be her office that's going to be much more effective in helping the Troy model, as Mr. Bush called it, you know, perhaps influence how that might change things at a federal level. In my day job, I work with the federal government on a defense contract, and I too have come to learn that the government, their policies or techniques tend to be further behind the automotive industry in general, in most industries, for any number of reasons. But the approach that you're taking with using data-driven decisions, modern techniques, tools, is going to help move things along. Again, maybe not as fast as you'd like it to be, but again, think back to where we were a year ago, and it's pretty incredible to the conversations that we're having today. So again, thank you for your patience, your efforts, and I'm positive, even though some of the representatives who you may have worked with in the past are changing, I'm confident you will have traction with new people coming in based off of how you've been engaging, you know, over these past few months. Let's see what else. We have a couple youthful speakers today, and I just wanted to commend them on their poise at the microphone. That's not easy. We appreciate all of our volunteer efforts in Troy, and the Save a Diwali food drive report is remarkable, both at a local level and a national level. And so I commend that group for all of their efforts. It makes a difference, particularly now when there is, with inflation being what it is, food pantries have never been so busy and never been so depleted. And so 6,950 pounds of food, that's significant. And it moves the needle in terms of dealing with hunger. Mr. King, you had mentioned a very difficult subject that we've grappled with at the council table for years, and it's the balance of property owners and their rights to develop or not develop land with preserving green space, which is something that we all, I think we all would prefer. But the reality is that you can't deny a property owner of their rights, and their rights are to build within zoning ordinances. So what we as a council body can do is put together zoning policies, zoning ordinances that can encourage preservation of green space. And that's something that we did in 2016, where it incentivizes developers to leave more green space or to introduce sustainable, building features into the property so that whatever is going to be built is less detrimental to the environment and not causing issues with groundwater absorption, et cetera. And so we do take whatever actions we can as a body to help encourage that. We put together also in roughly the 2016 timeframe a tree preservation ordinance so that if you are going to develop your property, you can't just clear cut your property and not have to replace it. And there was incentives given for trees that are preserved. And so those big landmark trees that we'd love to see are now getting saved more frequently than they might have in the past. But we can't dictate what an owner can or cannot do to their property. And so I know where I live, it's an older part of Troy where there are large parcels of lands and small houses on those parcels of land. Well, they've now been sold. Those large parcels have become small cluster developments. And so I understand the green space diminishing is a hard thing to deal with. There are woods that I used to drive by for 20 years that are now gone. But at the same time, some of those woods are now being preserved while the owner can develop their property. So is it exactly what I'd want? Maybe not, but it's the best situation that this council can, I'll say, broker equitably with those type of ordinances. I guess the last comment, that ties to Ms. Palace's comments on sustainability. I can't think of anyone on this council who's not concerned about sustainability and how to harness, I'll just say a lot of ideas on how to achieve that and how we can, as a city, do more. But I will say this, the city of Troy for many years has been on the leading edge. Things like LEEDs, where most people didn't know what LEEDs were, that was part of our building and planning doctrines and philosophies. Having, the large recycle carts at every neighborhood or every house in every neighborhood in Troy and pursuing grants to be able to do that. We have some of the highest recycle rates in the area. We've been doing many things, maybe too quietly, and so we don't necessarily get all the credit or all the fanfare. And so I just wanted to call out a couple things because perhaps we're not as far as we may all want to be, but we are definitely moving forward and have been and have a history of it. And I think that we will continue to move forward on it. But like everything, we have challenges from a staffing perspective because we only have so much money in our budget. other things that we all have felt very passionately about, like having a DEI coordinator, which I think all of us feel very strongly about having. We don't have one yet, and it's not because of a lack of wanting it, not by council or not by city staff. I think we're all more than interested. We're energized. We want to do it, but finding the right talent, getting things done takes people, takes effort, and takes time. And so while it may feel a little bit slower, you may perceive it as being slow in terms of measures that we're taking for sustainability. I just ask that you understand some of the parameters or the context of why the speed might be perceived as slow. It's not that we're not interested. It just takes a little time to move forward. But I think we're definitely of a mind to keep moving forward, and that is a big hurdle that I think some cities are still struggling with, and I don't think we have that struggle. Can't speak on behalf of all my council members, but just my perceptions as I see it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Abraham. City Manager Miller.
Did I hear the I-75 Sound Wall group wanted us to provide a space for MDOT? Is that?
Yeah, I think I can clarify that.
They can contact our office and we can help coordinate something.
Yeah, that was my point, right?
Thank you.
Councilmember Hoderick.
Thank you, I-75 Citizens Group, as a fellow citizen who does hear the noise and hears from citizens all along I-75 throughout the city. This has impacted so many people. I appreciate the great work you did up front to understand what the task ahead of you was, and then pursued it with such professionalism and efficiency. We did what we could from here. I-75 is not our project, but you've given voice not only on behalf of Troy citizens, but the very suggestion that you have that this could have an impact in communities across the nation is spot on. My hope for you, I know government moves slowly, and that can be frustrating, and it's a criticism, but it's also for good reason, because if people just plow through rules and regulations that have been established for good reason, that's when we can end out with inequity, where one community gets their walls because somebody knew someone, and another community doesn't because they don't have those connections. I think you identified the root of this issue is policies need to change to better serve not just Troy, but all communities that end out with an I-75 type situation coming through. You're doing tremendous work, and the professionalism with which you're undertaking it is great. I hope you continue to find joy in the work. Having been an activist before in my past, where I met someone along the way that became a great friend, I hope you're meeting new friends, neighbors across the community you didn't know. I hope you see the positive of it as you continue to move forward. And I just, there's a lot of people applauding you. I know you had over 1,000 signatures, and that's not even everybody who would be interested in signing. There are people who would say you shouldn't even bother, right? I bet you heard that. But if you don't try, you can't make a difference, and you're making a difference. And you're doing it so professionally. You're representing our city very well. And of course, I personally, and I'm sure all 7 of us, commit to help you continue representing that interest from Troy and our city. And I just personally wanted to express my appreciation for the work you've done and how effectively you've done it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hoderick. Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Crankle.
Thank you, Mayor. Lorraine, Mr. Bush, Mario, all of you, and I ran into Lorraine, was it a week ago? So we often see each other at the pool, so it's a good kind of check-in time. And Lorraine took me out last year. Her and Mario drove me all over these different impacted neighborhoods, and I'll never forget, the takeaway for me is it is different in each neighborhood, the way that you experience the sound, and I can't use my phone to play those recordings, but I recorded it as well, that sound, and I've often said it is one of the most challenging and tractable challenges that we have in our city. But the fact that even this 1 year has passed and we are at least something, as my colleagues have said, it has moved forward something. We've managed to get the money, been able to do the sound wall study, and we're with you. Lock hand as much as we can, lock hands. And as we talked there in the pool, the power of, I think you're a positive example, this whole group, of the way that you've effectively really worked positively and constructively with all levels of government. And so as we talked about, partnering with the mayor and meeting, our new electeds, come the new year as they partner on this work. So we're here for you, and we're there to support you all the way. Second comment just wanted to turn to is, I don't know about the mayor's climate compact. I'd be happy to learn more about it. I wasn't going to mention this because I did circulate an email to City Manager Miller, who I believe last week he did send it to all of council as part of Q&A. Something I ran into. So when I was doing research, because I said I'm not an expert in sustainability, but as I did research with colleagues who are, Oakland County's Chief Sustainability Officer, as well as my colleagues in the workplace, the one place they kept saying you need to look into is the Michigan Green Communities, and they have this Michigan Green Communities Challenge. Well, my board meeting with Michigan Municipal League on Friday in Lansing, I happened to run into Daniel Beard, who is the head of the Michigan Green Communities. It's a partnership, actually it is linked with Michigan Municipal League. And we happened to have lunch, and I knew Danielle actually she used to work in the foundation at the league, and we know each other from the foundation space. And we had a great conversation, and actually it really made me think about, we had talked as a council, what Councilmember Abraham just said is there are a lot of amazing things that the city has done. I think we just don't always know of them. And we talked about, is there a way to get some report that could kind of go over and kind of collate those? But City Manager Miller and I talked, that's a lot of work, I recognize. With the Green Communities Challenge, it's open until March. It's private, there's nothing public, you don't report on anything. It's a diagnostic for yourself as a city. And basically it lists all the different kind of sustainability activities, from the recycling, you name it. And it's a very extensive list. And it's just your own kind of diagnostic to see what you've done. And if we took it, we'd probably find we've done a lot of things. And so I was thinking if that might be something that we could look into, and that's what Mark, I've sent you multiple emails, asking. And if you want to talk to Danielle as well, if other council members think that that would be valuable. But if we took it, it then would it would create the list for us of all the things that we have done, and then puts us into a network with free resources, free technical assistance, and you can potentially have access to a free intern that comes on a University of Michigan, who's like a sustainability kind of intern who works with your city. So there are some free resources if it was something that, if it would be valuable to look into. Just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Crankle. Dave, Rand? No? Good tonight. A couple quick things. I know there's been a lot of good stuff said. Our I-75 friends, of course, will introduce you to all the new elected officials. I think you've already been in contact with some, and I know some are eager to meet you and to get on board with some experience on the issue directly, which will be good. I did actually, the presentation you sent us late last week, I think, maybe it was, I forwarded that to Congresswoman Stevens and her chief of staff, let them know where we are, had a brief conversation with the Congresswoman about it, kind of got her up to speed, told her I'd follow up with her after you came tonight when I found out you were coming. So federal representatives on it is my point. And of course, like everyone said, we'll support you through the next year and whatever we can do within our ability, obviously, but absolutely it's an important issue throughout the city, like has been said. And it is different in every neighborhood, and yet it's all rooting from the same thing. So we appreciate all the work you've done, and look forward to working in the future on that. I think Councilwoman Abraham's comments on the green space in the woods, Mr. Kang, are so to the point and so heartbreaking all in the same. It's very difficult to have that, and I thank you, Edna, for actually doing some of that speaking, because it's a tough thing to say, and it is the thing that grinds at us probably more than anything as it relates to development, and I'm right there with you. And if I could find a way to magically wave a wand to have less kids on iPads and iPhones and more out playing in the woods, I would do it in a heartbeat. But we'll certainly continue to look at ways we can encourage and recognizing the balancing of rights that we have. I appreciate Mayor Pro Tem Chamberlain Craig, the information you just brought. My expectation for the new year, obviously this is our last meeting of the year, is that City Manager Miller will be presenting us with some options as we gave consensus for at our last meeting. I don't know exactly what that will look like, but I do expect it will be comprehensive in the sense that we will definitely be looking at this early in the new year in some respect, and I'm certain those of you who have come tonight will continue to come and give us a nudge when necessary, although I will also say nudge may not always be necessary. You're always welcome, but we're committed. And I actually just, Ms. Paulus, if I could say, I've known Mark Miller for a lot of years now, and I think he's more of a change agent than you may realize. I've seen firsthand his willingness to jump in and adapt and make big changes and evolve in ways that, frankly, I never expected him to be able to. So I have a lot of confidence in Mark's ability to take the direction of this council to do what needs to be done for the city and for its residents. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that. And Mark also knew that. I think that's it. I appreciate all of you coming forward tonight, especially when you're not on the agenda. To have to wait till later in the meeting is very dedicated of you. So thank you all for speaking this evening, and look forward to hearing from you again. And obviously, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and thanks for coming out. That concludes City Council, City Administration response and reply to public comment for items not on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses. We don't have any council referrals this evening. Limited reports. Any discussion on the one report in there? Not surprised. All right, council comments. Again? Yeah, that's what everyone's thinking right now, right? Any additional council comments? There might be some. Let's see. All right, well, my only comment is, again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody in the city of Troy. Obviously, we're our last meeting of the year. I said it, I think I say it every year, but again, my expectation always is that we face a new year with all the challenges that we faced, to work hard at all of them, and I know city management's on board to make sure we're operating at full speed. So we look forward to the new year, and of course, everybody stay safe and be safe in every aspect of what that means. There's a lot going on in the world. That concludes council comments. There's nobody signed up for public comment for items on or not on the agenda for members of the public outside of Troy, and we have no closed session this evening. So with that, we're adjourned.